Hello, and thank you for joining me for this first attempt at a podcast type thing. My name is Mr. C, and this is my podcast. I am currently calling it Story Time with Mr. C. The title could change down the road, or I might just decide this is all a horrible, horrible idea and scrap the whole thing. Or my audience, or lack thereof, could decide that this isn't for me. So, either way, per some encouraging words from family and friends, both new and old, I have decided to give this thing a shot. I don't know exactly what this podcast even is quite yet, outside of just me telling stories. I have always been a storyteller. I love telling stories, whether for informational purposes or just for the sake of killing some time. I have always told stories, whether on stage, on camera, in front of a classroom, or on paper, and I figured this was just a new and exciting way for me to tell some stories, possibly to a bunch of new and exciting listeners. I tell all kinds of stories. Sometimes they are sweet, sometimes they are amusing, often they are scary, spooky. I love horror and all things horrific, so many of my stories fall into that category. To begin with, I will just be reading stories that I myself have written, but the hope is that as I progress through this podcast, I will get some stories from my audience as well. Short stories, poems, song lyrics, whatever. They all can count as stories, and I am here to share them with all of you. More on that later. I also hope to get some of my friends, family, whomever else to join me for some storytelling of their own, some storytelling of our own. More on that later, too. I do need to give a quick shout out to my good buddy, Russell Beaudry. I had some ideas for my intro music, and Russell helped me bring all of it to life. Actually, it makes more sense to say that I helped him. He did most of the work. He is an amazing bassist, and he is a member of local Tucson band Drive By High Five. If you like yourself some live rock and roll music, please check them out. They will be playing, I know they have a show coming up at Your Mom's House. Yes, the venue is actually called Your Mom's House. It used to be Jeff's Pub, located on Camino Seco, just south of Broadway. Russell and the other fellas of Drive By High Five will be playing on the 23rd of this month. That's a Wednesday at, I believe, 7 o'clock of the p.m. Go show them some love if you would be so kind. So again, big, huge thank you to Russell Beaudry and to his lovely daughter as well for all the help getting the intro music created. So, for now, as I said, I'm going to kick things off by reading something that I have written. I haven't really written anything worth sharing in a really long time, but I'm hoping that will change also, and that I'll produce some new stuff soon. Until then, I'm going to root through some of my old stuff from my past and just start sharing. So thank you so much for listening, and stand by for the maiden voyage of Story Time with Mr. C. Stand by.
Story time with Mr. C.
Story time.
Hello, 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 and thank you for joining me for this, the very first episode of Story Time with Mr. C. To kick this off, I am going to, as I said, reach into the old stuff and bring out a story that I wrote, I don't even know how long ago, but quite some time ago. This is the first of what could be many stories about my father. My father named Alan, and I lost my father back long time ago, back in early 1997. and shortly thereafter was just moved to write a bunch of stories about him, both good, bad, and otherwise. So here is the first of, like I said, what could be many. This is The Barbershop, Part 1. I spent a great deal of time at my father's barbershop when I was growing up. It was located at the westernmost end of a strip mall on the northwest corner of 5th and Rosemont in good old Tucson, Arizona. It was simply called Allen's Barbershop, and it even had one of those spinning barber poles out front. I was probably no more than 9 or 10 years old the last time I set foot in that building, but I bet you I could still draw you a map of that space. I remember watching a lot of television on my father's little black and white set in that barbershop. Sanford and Son, The Jeffersons, Chico and the Man, many other fine programs of the 1970s. I would fart around in the back room looking through stacks upon stacks of Playboys and other girly magazines. My father had a little wooden shelf out in the shop where he kept a small, ever-changing assortment of these magazines for his clientele. I was honestly only ever looking for the comics, like Little Annie Fanny and Friends, but I do remember being intrigued by the nude female form at a very young age. I would sometimes scare the holy crap out of myself by playing Bloody Mary in the grimy mirror of the dank little bathroom with its barred window and dripping faucet. I would take naps on the rollaway cot and regularly check the contents of the ancient refrigerator. I'm pretty certain that for all the years I spent back there, that refrigerator only ever contained the same dusty old jar of sweet pickles. I would even try one every now and again. Pretty nasty. Sometimes my father would give me little jobs to do. I was in charge of sweeping all of the hair into the massive pile that lay like some sleeping beast in the shadows of that back room. I also got to take care of the Coca-Cola machine. It was the type where you would pull the glass bottles out of their specific little slots, and then you had to pop the top off in another little slot. The tops would fall into a little metal box that I would oftentimes just pour out onto the floor of the barbershop. I would sort through the sticky pile of bent metal caps and separate them by their logos. I had quite a collection. I sometimes wished that I could have kept that Coke machine. Another chore of mine was to clean out all of the ashtrays in the shop. These were the days when a person could smoke just about anywhere. Patients could even smoke in their hospital beds. I had this old coffee can and a metal slotted spatula. I would sift through the ashtrays with the spatula, collecting all the butts, gum, scraps of paper, and whatever else got left in those nasty little things. Pretty sure there were even ashtrays in the armrests of the barber chairs. The chairs that I loved those chairs. They were huge compared to me, and they usually played the part of my spaceship or sometimes my throne. They were the kind that had the arm on the side that you would pump to raise and lower the chair. If you pumped the chair all the way to the top, it would start to make this farting noise to let you know it couldn't go any further. My father would sometimes do this with customers in the chair just to get a rise out of me, or he would spin me around in the chairs to get me giggling. Mostly what I remember, though, is just my father sitting in one of those huge chairs, cigarette resting betwixt his index and middle finger on his right hand, just sitting there pondering life, and me waiting anxiously for the day I could be just like him. Luckily for me, though, that day never came. Once again, thank you so much for joining me for this first episode of Storytime with Mr. C. That was The Barbershop, Part 1 from my collection of stories about my father. The collection is currently known as Father Allen, and hopefully I'll be reading you some more stories from Father Allen in the near future. The idea right now is to try and do one of these at least every week. Right now, shooting for putting something out every Sunday. We will see how that goes. I will certainly keep you posted as this moves along. But for now, look forward to another one a week from today on Sunday. That would be the 13th, I think. So be looking forward to that. Once again, Thank you so much for hanging out and listening to my story. Hope that you come back for next time. All right. Until then, take care. Be safe.